So, Boruto Chapter 18 spoilers have just been released. Leaks have been coming like extra late for the past couple months. I guess that's due to leak culture kind of dying out, which good and bad thing. I don't really care that much. I can enjoy the chapter regardless, but I know a lot of people do love reading leaks, so I guess it's a bad thing for them. But yeah, fine shit is for the chapter cover. It's looking good as always, my series. I mean, how can I complain? But oh, I also do have the flu for the 80th time. But whatever. Sumare's reminiscing about what happened between her and Sarada. Right. I'm not gonna really focus too much on the dialogue heavy panels, right? I don't wanna it's a spoiler video, but I don't wanna spoil everything. But yeah, for the most part, this is just Amado getting confronted by Kawaki like the last chapter ended off on. Ikimoto's doing a great job at expressing like the emotions in these panels, like this super detailed shot of his eye, all right, when he kind of falls to the ground, ass up, face down, sleep for the 8th time during Two Blue Vortex 1 year run. It's just very good, bro. Masterclass Kawaki. Typical. But yeah, back to the important stuff though, right? Still, the Konoha Shinobi kind of trying to infiltrate the Shinju, see how gullible they are, see if they can kind of backstab them and get an easy dub, right? Fine shit still sitting there with Konohamaru. He really doesn't know how to handle all that, but it's cool. It's cool. He gonna learn, I guess. He gonna learn. Beautifully done flashback panel. Didn't feel like out of nowhere. Didn't feel like they were doing too much, taking up multiple pages. Glad they did it like that. Kind of showed them at every part of their life, basically, right? No, part one, part two, and this is of course Boruto era, right? But again, we have to remember Matsuri is a completely different person. While they do share the same soul per se, this is a new being, right? She may have the feelings that Moegi had for Kanahamaru, but hers are still new and hers are still kind of unique. So keep that in mind. Ryu starts to use his Iron Sand, and I like the way this is drawn. All right, it's not just black, that's what I thought it was gonna be just kind of black ink, but no, he's able to incorporate some white and gray to kind of add like that grainy sand texture that Iron Sand is supposed to have. So ability just continues to look cool. I like this for Shinki, or I guess Ryu. So they're still trying to figure out what's happening, still trying to get answers out of Ryu. And he's seemingly still gullible, right? But he does notice something is off about Yodo, and it's the fact that she's like oozing killing intent. Because this ability basically allows him to sense all of his surroundings. And I guess he can see killing intent and what people are hiding. So they kind of just try to write it off as, oh, ninjas are always like this. But as we know, she just hates this guy. But seemingly still going fine. Right, cool. Going back to the Kawaki situation, he's finally awoke from his 7th coma. And Amado and him get to talking, right? Because Amado at the end of the day can't fight. All he can do is ask things of Kawaki. He is just a normal person. And they basically have a bit of a chit chat on, how he's going to get his daughter back, right? And if Kawaki wants him to do something for him, that being turning up his combat abilities, he's going to have to do something for Amado. That being that ensuring that his daughter comes back to life through karma. Because as you know, through all of his scientific measures or whatever endeavors he took before the Boruto story, he was never actually able to gain her soul. I guess that's something, only permitted by gods, like he says constantly, and only karma can really do. So, yeah, he pretty much needs Kawaki, and Kawaki needs him. So they come to this mutual agreement, sort of. But Kawaki does add that if she turns into some kind of new Otsutsuki, he will kill her. So it's kind of like, yeah, she's going to come back, but Kawaki also threatened her life, but it's the best Amado is going to get. So he better take it. Matsuri and Konohamaru are still talking, and while they're on the topic of it, she's getting overly excited because of these new emotions that are bubbling up inside of her. And Konohamaru, the bag fumbler that he is, fumbling fine shit in public like this, kind of just tells her off as like, oh, could you not address me like that? Which, as it would to anyone, just goes and freaks her out, right? Because she's thinking they're having a heart to heart, she's with the love of her life, apparently. And he just goes and tells her off like that. So she gets this weird expression, and Konohamaru gets scared because he knew he kind of messed up. Right? I mean, she looks absolutely disgusted by his existence. Like, she hates the very ground he walks on. So, surprise, surprise to no one, right? Newsflash, people are going to act weird and react badly once you kind of tell them off out of nowhere. So, yeah, she starts flaring up and screaming at her, screaming at Konohamaru, having like this emotional response because, of course, no one wants to be denied of their love. Right? And we go back to Reed, right? It seems that, they can kind of put forth their thorn soul. I thought it was something that only spawned once they died, but it seems like it's always inside of them and they can kind of just put it out of their body, which is not something we've seen anyone else do, but it's kind of just cool tidbit that they can do that. And the plan is seemingly going a little too smooth, right? Sarada, Mitsuki, everyone but Yodo are hiding their bloodlust. They're just trying to get this plan, going so they can save Shinki, right? And defeat this new threat that are called the Shinchu. But of course, some things are too good to be true, right? And there's always going to be, once loved ones are involved, people who have overly emotional responses. And Yodo does what everyone thought she was going to do because she was oozing killing intent and rushes towards it, kind of confirming what Ryu had thought all along, right? Which is that they were playing him, right? We all thought Ryu was just gullible. Him and Matsuri were just going to go in there, get easily convinced, and kind of just shat on like that. But no, they are kind of far smarter than we thought and gave them credit for. I think it's because, we always associate being born yesterday or born a few days ago with like having like a childlike mind when they are based off of another person who have experienced countless battles and who have lived entire lives. So we kind of forget to take that into account, right? But yeah, and Ryu showcases yet another ability besides his danger sensing and area AoE sensing ability, which is his ability to control people with grains of iron sand, right? While everyone was kind of distracted by Yodo just shitting on everyone's plan, he was able to take control of Sarada and basically run at Yodo to kill her. But just before she's able to kind of make the kill on Yodo due to her messing up the whole plan, right? I'm not saying it's completely Yodo's fault because, of course, when dealing with someone close to you, you kind of have emotional outbursts. But at the end of the day, they're ninja, right? They need to learn how to control their emotions, which she should be adept at. But thankfully, a mysterious wave of energy just comes out of nowhere and frees Sarada from the control of Iron Sand. And everyone's wondering, like, what was it? Turns out, the MVP of the chapter, right? It is a new technique by Arya, Magnetic Iron Particle Sealing Blade. This technique not only has a hard name, the black blade is cool, and the wave little technique is also cool. Yeah, he already had one of my favorite designs, him being like the calm, collected one of the three siblings, I guess we should call them, while also having one of the coolest new jutsu I've seen. Definitely solidifies him as one of my favorite new characters. That on top of how it's like building this narrative of how they all kind of just want to work together all the time and they were such good friends and siblings to where having this new dynamic of their old friend / old brother being turned into this monster that they're forced to kill. I just find that whole dynamic very interesting. Right? He even says it here. This technique was created for our combo attack, right? Basically, they had like this team move, and he just never thought it would be used like that, right? But he's asking Shinki to lend him strength, and this is going to be a battle of friendship and family, right? And the blade, refined together with the grains of iron sand, slashes away. And what will happen to Konohamaru in this critical situation? Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Konohamaru's cooked. There's really nothing he can do. Right? They're over here dealing with another Shinju, and Konohamaru can barely deal with a emotional outburst. But if Konohamaru does, decide to do something to Matsuri, that's like an above Kage level feat. Because she's the one who defeated Gaara. So props to him. Overall, though, of course, go read officials when they drop. I'm just not gonna show everything, right? Because even though it's a leak vid, I want to leave something to be desired, right? And I do think that you will get a lot more out of reading the official chapters if you only spoil yourself a little bit. But overall, though, I love this chapter, right? It built up a lot of new and old narratives that, we thought weren't going to be built up for some time, like the Amado and Akabit stuff. Because we have a whole new villain group right now, so it's like, how are we going to have time to build up the prior narratives that were kind of like put on hold just so this new villain group can kind of thrive and develop on their own? But they found a good way to kind of implement it and still have it make sense without it all feeling cluttered, right? The chapter just flows scenario to scenario. It's kind of like we're getting two different POVs, and it works, right? One is this deadly battle zone where like the smallest movement can result in your death, and the other one is Kawaki's pursuit for power. Chapter's a solid 8 out of 10, I'll say. Right, I love the moments that give Shinju just more life and give him more personality, make us actually care about them. The same thing with the Sand Trio. I mean, you actually feel like, Shinki is a character who you actually want to live and you want his friends to save them. And you also feel like the pain that's going on inside of Yodo and how it feels to lose a sibling. Because just from her actions alone, it just shows that this battle trained hard ninja, she has to hide her killing intent, and she's so overly emotional right now that she's having trouble just doing things that Chunin and Jonin can do. When they're people who can like fight alongside the Kazekage and who Gara trusts to kind of deal with threats. But yeah, like I said, banger chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Yeah, I hate the flu.